got a weak knee. It's great to be here with you folks this evening. See, it was already been told I'm Joe Fabiano, and I'm here for the same reason that you're here. And that is, you know, things are seriously bad with our country, and you want to see some changes, and you want to be part of making those changes to see that it happens. Okay? The reason I decided to run is back in January, a friend of mine sent me a copy of NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, and with sections 1021 and 1022 to read, and I did, and I was appalled. I was seriously appalled. To me, the way I read it, is it put the American citizens in the same class as a terrorist. That's the way I read it. Now, I'm not able to debate the issue relative to it, because I'm not as well versed in it as Congressman Bishop is. But what I did do is on my website, and I handed out those cards, my information on it. It has my website on it. What I'd like for you to do is to go to my website, and on there you'll see a little tab that's titled NDAA. Okay? Click on that, and it'll bring up a presentation by a constitutional scholar and lawyer. She's really, really sharp. And she explains the content of it, and she goes through it line by line and explains every tiny little piece of it. And she does a marvelous job. And in essence, what she demonstrated, that there's so much ambiguity in it that it can easily be determined that it truly puts us on the same level as a terrorist. But don't take my word for it. Go on the website and listen to a presentation by somebody that really knows what's going on and spells it out fantastically well. And listen to what she's got to say, and you'll be enlightened. I know for sure I was. I appreciate it. That's why I put it on the website. And there's also some confusion as to there was one version of it, and then when it came up for a vote, they were voting on a different version. So what finally got approved is not necessarily what was thought to be the right version. So there's that issue in it, so it makes it very confusing. Okay. You know you don't like the way things are going, right? And you're trying to figure out, well, where did we go wrong? And if you want to think of where we went wrong, it started back in 1913 is where we went wrong. Because prior to 1913, what Rob Bishop was talking about is federalism. See, that's when it was in vogue, that's when it was actually working, and that's the way the Constitution was set up. It was set up so that the states were sovereign, and the federal government was set up to do 17 specific tasks. Okay? And the federal government was not in a position to deal directly with the general public. They were to deal with the states, okay? Which made perfect sense. And under that setup, it was great. We've seen this tremendous progress in our country. It was fantastic. And the progress that occurred here, it went worldwide. Because this was a fantastic nation, because now there was a nation that, in essence, you were innocent until proven guilty. See, that wasn't the same way in the other countries. Okay? It was different. We didn't have an aristocracy at that time. Okay? Things were great. And there was checks and balances built into the system. And one of the checks that was in place was the states were the ones that elected the Senate. They put the senators in place in Congress. Okay? And so they had control over the Senate. So let's say, as an example, let's say the TARP bill was being debated in the Senate. And the state legislatures got wind of the fact that what they're trying to do is do a $700 billion bailout of banks. Well, I'm sure if you were in the state legislature, like if I was in the state legislature, what I would try to do is to get a consensus to say, do we want this or we don't want this? We don't want this. Let's call our senators up and tell them if you vote for that, you'll be coming home the next day. That was the check that was in place. They could do that because they had control of the Senate, okay? See, so we don't have that in place now, so the end result was we got the TARP bill, and Senator Bennett and Senator Hatch voted for it. Okay? And so yeah, it was a big problem. Now we got all this money going out of our pockets. And then there was lots of folks thought that if you had an audit of the Federal Reserve, you really wouldn't prove anything because it's not in how they do business what makes them so much money and takes such a great advantage of us. It's in the whole process in the system itself. And then there was a partial audit done on it, and the report of that came out last September. Anyway, so when it was reported, he came to find out that I was wrong, that there was lots of problems there, lots of discrepancies, lots of difficulties, lots of cronyism, lots of taking care of their friends and ignoring their enemies, et cetera, and it was pretty bad. And then the other thing they found out, that in a year and a half's time, the Federal Reserve gave out $16 trillion to their banks in this country and their banks overseas in some foreign countries. 16 trillion, so we thought 700 billion was an immense amount, but 16 trillion, oh my gosh. And then that's the way it operates. And there needs to be a realization that whenever money is printed with nothing behind it, all the money that's out is devalued. So the money that you got in your pocket, let's say you got $100 in your pocket. Okay, so they pull something like that, and so what do you got left? Maybe you got $90 left? It decreases the value of everything that you have. That's what's so bad about it. Okay, so in 1913, the first thing that we got that really done a lot of damage was the 16th Amendment. Now you have the IRS. And from that point on, the federal government has been encroaching into the areas of responsibility that was the state's responsibility prior to that. And then the federal government started usurping it from the states. And then with the 17th Amendment, because the Senate, excuse me, 2 minutes, oh my God, thank you. Because of the 17th Amendment, they don't have any more pushback on the Senate, and so, in essence, the Senate has practically no check on them. Because they're in office for 6 years, they don't come up for a vote every 2 years like Congress does. And so you don't keep as good a track on what they're doing, and consequently, they stay in office for a long, long time. Okay, is that good? The result of it, from that time to this time, now the Congress is in a position where it's regulating just about every aspect of our lives, including how much water you can use to flush your toilet with. I mean, that's where we're at. Is that a nice thing? No, it's not nice. I don't want to control anybody else's life, and I don't want anybody to control my life. I don't think that's right. Okay, that's where we're at. We've lost a tremendous, tremendous amount of rights. The Patriot Act comes along, and oh my gosh, that is so bad. That is so horrendous. Okay, and that was followed up by the Military Concessions Act, which put the military in a position over us, and then the NDAA 2012, those things, that you put it all together, we're in super trouble. Okay. I believe in term limits. I believe that people can just handle so much of that kind of authority, and then a problem kicks in. You get too much authority, you hold it too long, and it goes to your head, and you don't handle it well. That's the way I see it. I think if you hold out, if you can go there and stay for 4 years, you'll be doing a good job. And if you get out of there at that time, you'll come out pretty clean, I think. I haven't been there, so how would I know? But for dang sure, what I want people to understand is that if I was elected, I would not take any wages, and I would not take any retirement funds at all. I wouldn't do anything like that. And the reason I wouldn't do it is because I want people to understand that I can't be bought. I'm not for sale. The only thing I would be there for is to get our Constitution back to where it belongs and get the federal government off of our backs and our necks and out of every area of your responsibility that they're not supposed to be in. And I need your help, and I hope I get it. Thank you.
Thank you. We need to conclude everything by about 1:45. The library closes at 9, so we have about 40 minutes. We'll take questions from the audience. Please be respectful, but ask the hard questions. We need to know. And I'll select you first, sir, just a moment. And I've asked each of the candidates if they have a comment, please do that. Please limit the remarks, try and come quickly to your point, and we'll go ahead and start.